All right, we're trying new technology today. Um, I'm actually connected to Starlink. And hey, Richard Bisbee, glad you're here. Uh, so I'm connected to Starlink, which means I can bring you down here into my hideout. My summers, most of the day. Cooking some dog food here. The poor dogs are hungry. So let me give you a little more perspective as to where we are. My place doesn't look that great. I got stuff laying around, like these mattresses that I let the dog sleeps on. My van's broken down, but I'm sleeping in it because it's nice to be able to get out of the wind if I need to. That's dog bed number 2. That's the car that I'm using since the van's broken down. And up there is Starlink. Yep. And solar panel powering Starlink. Now, over there is where I normally do the live video to get cell service on my phone. But since I got Starlink set up, today we get to do it down here. Like I said, in my little hideout. So I'll give you a little more perspective. So, so here's the van. It's parked right next to the creek so that I can sleep next to the water. However, you'd be surprised how loud the creek is. And then over here, top to do the live video through the laptop, but I couldn't log in to the right account. Anyway, poor Maddie. That's where I throw my bottles, water bottles for garbage. Poor Maddie is hungry. They normally would have eaten by now, but. And then down here is my hideout. I think it took me. It was the second summer that I figured this out, that I could. I was sitting up here, I was looking toward this where there was branches and weeds covering up. I need to find an old picture. And then I realized, I started to notice, man, if I just cut back a few branches, I'd have this hollowed out area that stays shaded all day long. And sure enough, so that's where I got to hang my clothes up so my dog doesn't take them and bury them. That's why I got clothes hanging in the trees. These are my storage barrels, mouse proof and bug proof, and I got to keep them in here for shade. More storage barrels. And then back here is where Sparta sleeps. She likes finding these safe places where she feels like she's protected. And oh, well, here, let's go back here a little further. I don't know how far I can go, but I'll lose the Wi-Fi. So back here, there's a trail that goes across. It goes down to the creek, and there's another way out. So it's kind of a neat place. If I was keeping this property, I was going to do more, but I decided to sell it. And so over there's a nice spot too. You can actually hide out back there. I hollowed out a little bit of area back there, cut branches back. So if I needed to, it's even more shaded than here, but this works. Yeah, let's see. Richard Bisbee said that you guys use Starlink. It is great. It's too expensive for me, unfortunately. I was hoping that the 50 gigs per month would be, or even 100 gigs per month would be enough. But just in checking, shoot, I was hoping I could get more scenery here. But just in checking Facebook and using YouTube, I listen to YouTube almost all day, and I wanted internet that I could download stuff from, so that I don't have to go to town and download. And you can do that on Starlink, but I think I'd be spending $165 a month. because like I said, I tried it and I used up 3 gigs. I did 2 speed tests, which people say eats it up, but it was still under a gig at that point. And then in like 40 minutes, I used up 2 gigs. And I've got my phone all set to the low data. I watched videos on how to set up your phone so that it doesn't eat up Starlink data. And it just wasn't worth it when I just to use YouTube like I like to. It would probably eat up 50 gigs in a few days. So it sucks because I love the idea of being able to go to the mountains for 3 weeks. Next year, if I sell this property, then I got to go to the mountains to stay cool with the animals. And I like the idea of being able to do live videos wherever I am, not having to worry about cell service, but it's just not worth it, unfortunately. Someday if I make more money, then I can pay the $165 for unlimited if it's still available. They like to threaten you saying, hey, we might sell out on availability in your area. So whatever. So I'm going to try a different phone service. When somebody up at the place where I go had T-Mobile, and he had cell service up in the mountains. So I'm going to try T-Mobile if I can. So it's like $60 for unlimited. Yeah, Richard Bisbee. Yeah, I mean, I go to Tractor Supply and sit in their parking lot or walk around the store and use their Wi-Fi. The problem is with coffee shops, at least in my stupid town, I got a lot of complaints about my town, but there used to be one Starbucks that had reliable internet. Like you could go to any of the other 4, 5, 6, whatever we got, and you could log on and get internet, but it was too slow to do anything. And we had one Starbucks. Well, it used to be a different one that had decent Wi-Fi, and then it stopped working. And then we've got one store that used to be reliable, but I've gone there. I don't know, it might still be, but it's tricky. You can go to these places that have Wi-Fi and it doesn't work. I found out yesterday Costco has Wi-Fi, so I guess I could use Costco. Maybe I could even log into one of their test computers and just sit there using the internet. Of course, I didn't think about the library. I could try that. And yeah, the cost of coffee. I hate Starbucks anymore. I used to like Starbucks, but my town is horrible with customer service. And so it just sucks going into Starbucks. I hate to go there anymore. Used to love it because they actually did care about customer service, and they cared about. They're the only coffee shop in my town that adjusts the grind. Dutch Brothers might. I'm not sure what kind of machines they use, but they're the only ones because they have these automated grinders, coffee grinders that automatically adjust for humidity changes and temperature changes. But they're the only one that does that. All the other coffee shops think it's not their job. It's like, well, selling to people that you're selling to that are basically buying milk, then I guess it's hard to argue with that. But anyway, point was my coffee at Starbucks costs about $3, what I order, because I'll either get a short drip coffee, comes with a free refill, and that's around $3, $3.50, price of gas. Or I get 2 shots with topped off steamed heavy whipping cream in a 2-ounce cup. Both of those that's a great drink, but I bring in my own cup. So anyway, Wi-Fi is an issue. It's funny, when I went to Italy back in 2016, they had better Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi. Their Wi-Fi was better publicly than our Wi-Fi here in America. That says something. I'm not a socialist, I'm not a communist, I don't believe in those, but capitalism isn't working. It's working for some people, it's working great for some people, but not for the majority of us. Um, yeah, yeah. Watch me cooking dog food. So I'm about to prepare my dog food because the poor dogs have been waiting, and you know how dogs are; they hate to wait for dog food. So I'm gonna I'm gonna prepare that while we sit here. I hate this. I hate to do this, but I've been buying meat. I hate to support commercial meat industry. I got to do something about that. Um, shoot, I left my pot holder over there. But I found out you can get pork for $2 a pound at Winco. I was buying it for $3 a pound at Costco, and then I found out it's $2 a pound. So my girl dog, well, they're both girl dogs. My fat dog, Maddie, she was losing her hair from eating the dog food that I was buying. So when I was traveling, I was feeding them a lot of, I was mixing it usually, but, oh wait, no, I was feeding her meat, but I was feeding chicken some dog food. And my fat dog, she always figures out how to steal food. And so she was eating little bits of this dog food that I was feeding the rooster. I stopped feeding it to the rooster. It was cheap stuff. And she was losing her hair. Poor girl, she was losing her hair and it itched really bad. Her skin was scabbing. So I thought, I wonder if that's from that dog food she's getting into. So I stopped feeding her, or I made sure she didn't steal it anymore. I stopped feeding it to the rooster, didn't make it available. And sure enough, cleared up. She's fine now. Her hair is all back to normal. And so there might be some dog food out there, but you know, you look at all the ingredients of that stuff, and it's like bone meal is the first ingredient, and then the next ingredient is like chickpeas, and you Google that stuff. It's like, okay, is chickpeas good food for dogs? And they say, well, it's okay in variation. Is brown rice good for dogs? White rice is better, and moderate. And that's like everything that these dog foods are made out of is these foods that are like, it's okay, but brown rice isn't even that good. It's better to feed dogs white rice than brown rice. And those expensive foods, the natural stuff, it's all like $3 a pound. Maybe not, maybe $2 a pound. So when you start doing the math, if you feed them, I feed them rice for a little bit, and then I cook up barley and feed them barley for a few days that I add in as filler, so they don't feel starved when I feed them a bunch of meat. But when you do the math, then paying like 20 cents, wait, no, $1 a pound for rice or barley, more like 80 cents. And then now $2 a pound for meat, it balances out to what, $1.50 a pound, thereabouts, if you go half and half. So it's cheaper to feed them actual meat. But then meat isn't a full diet, so that's why you got to get liver and heart meat, which you can get liver all day long. If you contact people on local community pages, farm pages, and tell them, hey, if you're butchering a cow, do you mind if I come by and pick up the unwanted organs that you're not going to use? People are actually pretty happy to do that because they like it going to use. So it's a win-win. It's not like you're begging for something that people are going to use. Like I always make it clear, if you're not going to use it, can I get something like liver? And then you feed that liver, not too much, and then they're getting the vitamins that they need, and they have a high protein diet, and feeding them better food than you can buy in the store, and it's no more expensive. So go away, Maddie, not yet. And speaking of liver, I've not been focused on this stuff. I bought chicken liver and feeding that to her. I need to make another post though, but during the summer there's not a lot of butchering, cow butchering going on. But I need to make a post and get some more, because I used up all the stuff I had in my freezer. But anyway, that's a great way to feed your dogs actual real good food. On the downside, it's like I'm cooking all day long. Well, that's an exaggeration, but I'm always cooking. Firewood and cooking. Hey, Benjamin Harris, glad you're here. Glad you made it. See, it works. I'm able to do it later because I'm using Starlink. I switched to the 7:30 time because my cell service isn't that great, and at 8:30 other people wake up and it slows down, and I didn't have the cell data to keep a live video going, so I'm on Starlink, so I thought I'd try it and see if we get more viewers, because the viewers had been down at 7:30. Still not seeing Daryl Isley. He's not been back. He got confused by the time changes or something like that. And I don't know, moving to this channel may not have been the best move after all. I thought everybody who watched the live videos would switch over, but that hasn't been the case. Used to get like 20 or 30 viewers. Now we get like 7 or 8. But hey, we're having a good time. So if you can't see me, see, look at that. Maddie already ate up her food. Just like 2 minutes, bam, it's gone. Good grief. Poor girl. Cause I feel bad. I don't want her hungry. I know how that feels when you eat and then you're still hungry. But on the other hand, I had to make her lose weight because she's so dang fat. So it's hard because I want to just give her a lot more food and make her feel content. But hey, go away. Poor girl. The other dog likes to eat too, but she'll turn down food. Oh, and then the other thing, my goodness, this was weird. I was buying ground turkey because turkey is really good for dogs, and they love it. My dogs, they prefer turkey to beef. But anyway, I was feeding them ground turkey. And then I thought, you know what? I should eat some of that instead of, because I eat a lot of hamburger. I thought instead of just eating all this hamburger, I should eat some ground turkey. Make it like half and half. And I did. And I had this weird feeling, like this energy going through my body. Not a good positive feeling. It was weird. It was like, ugh. And I had also noticed that Sparta, who's more particular, she had quit. Like when I'd just give her ground turkey and rice, Maddie would just eat it up before I set it down. I gotta go give this to Sparta. And but Sparta's much more particular, like a cat. She would turn her nose up at it and leave it sitting. And then like I said, when I ate it, I noticed how it made me feel. And I figured, oh, that must be happening to Sparta. She must be feeling that. Good girl. She's deaf. She can't hear me. So I quit doing the turkey burger. That was weird. Commercial meat is just horrible. Like I say, I hate that I'm buying and I need to get settled. My life is tumultuous right now, but hopefully soon I'll be able to go to a farm and feed the crawdads. Hopefully I'll be able to go to a farm and get a pig, and well, I guess I should butcher it myself. So maybe this winter I'll get a pig, butcher it myself, and buy a steer, fill the freezer. And then I got to be sure to keep the freezer going. We'll see. Okay, dogs are fed. That means breakfast is all done. And I suppose also that the meat is done cooking. So I take it off and put it right here in the creek. That in the creek, that in the creek. Yeah, cover it with that, keep the sun off of it. Yeah, you can see that. And that's how it's done around here. Let's see. Maybe I'll make some more coffee. Before I get rid of this starling, so I already started the return, but they don't care if you use the data, they still refund it. So I'm gonna use up the data, and one of these mornings, gosh, that's noisy. One of these mornings I need to do a live video of my just hanging out, having breakfast. I think that's on the docket. Now here's something that sucks. Okay, so around here, you guys who are Easterners, this might be different, but around here in the Pacific Northwest and probably all of the West Coast, we got Douglas fir. That's a common material. We use it for framing houses. We use it for pallets. So it's a very common material you can get for free. And I've always loved it for firewood. I like how it smells, splits nice, burns easy. But when cooking, and here I got some maple, but when cooking, we're not talking BTUs, because I cook over flame. This doesn't create coals. This creates coals a little bit, maple. And so for me, what's important is temperature. But man, when I Googled temperature, you could not find it. So then I went to Reddit, because there's always intelligent people there, and they all just get uptight. It doesn't matter what temperature, it's measured in BTUs. And I tell them, well, I'm not looking for BTUs, I'm looking for, does anybody know the actual temperature? Because I didn't want to buy an infrared gauge. And they were like hostile on Reddit. Like, you don't need to know. Like, it's so weird on Reddit how they'll get mad if you ask a question. It's like, you don't need to know that. You just don't. Like, well, I do for this reason. Like, no, you're doing it wrong. I run into that a lot because I think outside the box. Reddit's a fascinating place to experience mob mentality. There's a lot of cool people on Reddit, though. That's why I still use it as a tool. So, I never did get an infrared temperature gauge, you know, one of those things where you can just pull the trigger and see how hot it's burning. But I've always been curious at what temperatures different woods burn, like oak. I got oak pallets from a guy, and so I've got some oak. And it was taking me forever. This is also Douglas fir. So I was cooking on Douglas fir because I like it. But it was taking me forever to get boiling water. And I thought, it's got to be the temperature. Now this is cottonwood, and I did a video on cottonwood. Cottonwood burns fast, so it's got a bad BTU, but it burns hot. This is almost as good as cooking with oak as far as temperature over flame. Oak's just the best all around. But this will boil my water fast. This won't. You can put, so I like to use this like when I'm cooking the meat and I'm cooking it for hours to get it softened up. But you don't want it, I just want a low temperature. This is great. Just throw this stuff on, elevate the rack a little bit, and it'll keep a low simmer going for hours. Well, you got to keep feeding the fire. But if you want a fast boil, to bring it to temperature, you use cottonwood or oak or maple. And so right now, I've got on there Doug fir. So let's throw on this oak. This oak is like gold for me. It's like burning dollars. But it's nice to get the... In the morning, I boil a lot of stuff. I boil my breakfast, I boil my coffee, and then a lot of times I have to cook for the dogs in the morning, so I'm boiling for them. So, like I say, to bring it to a boil, I'll build up the fire and use oak or maple, and then once the boil is going really good, I can switch over. So anyway, it's nice when you got a nice diverse bunch of wood to use for cooking. Cooking over fire is fun. I've been cooking almost all my meals. Sometimes I don't drink much coffee these days, but if I want to just cook up something quick, I've got my propane burner right there. That's funny how on the video I'm pointing like 5 feet away from the burner, but in the video it comes up perfect. So anyway, that's my propane burner, but I don't use it much. I'll use it if I feel like if I want to cook up the dog's meat in the afternoon, and I don't want to sit around the fire because it's hot. So anyway, I've been cooking over fire a lot this year. Not every year. Usually, sometimes in the summer, I'll switch over to propane. Ugh. This is fantastic fire starter. This stuff, rabbit brush. A lot of you know what the rabbit brush is. This is a better example. It's even thinner. This stuff is fantastic. You just throw a little bit of that on top of a small piece of paper. I got a bunch of junk mail, so I'm burning paper. Usually I like to use tinder, just so I'm in the practice of using tinder or birch bark for the fire, to get the fire going. This is cottonwood bark, so make it into something like that. That is a good fire starter, but like I say, I've been using paper. And then you throw some of that, either sagebrush, dead sagebrush, or rabbit brush. Rabbit brush is ideal. And you get a fire going real quick. So, it's good stuff. We'll see. I threw that oak on. It's kind of high off the flame, though. I got 2 stages pretty much that I cook on. Usually for cooking my coffee, I'll put this rack on the fire bricks, and that way it's a lot closer to the flame. Oh, there we go. It started. Then it's right on the flame. But if I'm going to boil a bunch of stuff, then I put the rack on top of these at the next elevation level, and then there's more room for bigger pieces of wood. So anyway, that's how I cook. That's my setup. I really like this setup. This is fantastic. These things create a nice shelf and protects from the wind, and it's just a really nice setup. But I need to move it up there. I need to duplicate this setup back up there because it gets really dark in here. So it'll be like 8 o'clock now, because it's getting dark sooner. 8 o'clock and I'm cooking for the dogs, and I got to wear my headlamp, where out there, it's actually still pretty light. So I need to make both. That way, because we got cool mornings and dark evenings now, so I come down here for the shade. It's nice scenery being in the creek in the shade, but I like being up where I can see. So, like I say, I need to duplicate it. But then it's tough, because then it's like, okay, I want to cook up there this morning, but last night I cooked down here. Well, now I got to move all the stuff, and then I always forget stuff, so I'm about to make my coffee, and then I got to run back. Anyway, it gets frustrating to have two setups, so it's better to just do either or. Anyway, comments, questions? Let's go to some comments. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, Craig Curtis. Dove season in Texas, my favorite. They can't smell or hear you. Really? We got some doves around here. We got a dove season. I hear that they taste better than quail. Subliminal Locks. Oh, hey, I recognize you from the thumbnail. Hey, yo. She does a lot of live videos and lives a different lifestyle. Chicken food. All right, I'm gonna go get my coffee stuff so I can make a cup of coffee. Also this year, different. I've been using a cooler. In past years, I tried to not use a cooler because it required ice, mainly for buying ice. But then I figured out, since I'm running a freezer anyway, up on the other end of my property, I can just make my own ice, and then it's free. And then this cooler is crappy. Barely keeps any ice for very long, but it's better than the creek. The creek actually is pretty warm right now. It's been keeping it good enough for the meat though. Anyway, pretty good setup. I'm gonna buy some a solar setup pretty soon. I'm planning to buy a solar setup. We'll see if it actually happens or not. I'm gonna get like 5 batteries, so that in the winter time, because I like watching movies, especially now that I'm writing movies. I really like watching them to analyze. I like to break them apart to see how they built up the story, how they set up for some emotional scene that they need to convey. And so I want to be set up to watch movies, to edit movies. I'm learning a lot about editing. And so I need solar batteries set up for that. Also, I want to use lights. I haven't been using lights in the past, just my cell phone. But this winter, because the hardest part about winter here for me isn't the cold. I enjoy that because I love sitting by the fire, but it's the short days. You know, it gets to where it's dark. It gets to where it's dark at like 4:30, and it doesn't get light until 8:30. That's when it starts to get depressing. So if I use some lights, you know, like normal people, I can keep my cabin lit up in the morning and evening, and maybe I won't have to go south. But if it gets depressing, then I might find somewhere to go with my horses and take my dogs and rooster down to Arizona in January or February. We'll see. But like I say, this year I'm going to be doing a lot more editing, I think. So I'm learning how to edit and do quality videography. That's what I consume all my days with. I might get out and do a camping video soon. because I bought some new reenactment clothing. I want to make a video with it, and with my new camera and my new skills, see if I can make a better video. All right, comments, questions? Nope, nothing. All right. So looking forward to winter. We had this forecast here. You know, my phone app gives about 10 days of forecast. And it was all in the 80s. There was like one day that was in the 90s. You know, it's so inaccurate. After a few days it changed. And now, I think the next 10-day forecast, everything's above 90 degrees. Which, yes, admittedly, I'm whining about the weather because I hate the heat. And I was hoping that we had such a cool August. I was thinking, man, maybe we'll get into September and it'll stay in highs in the 80s and we'll start to cool off and have a fantastic fall. Well, at this point, it looks like summer's given its biggest effort to heat up the month of September. But that's all right. At this point, it's always like just a week or more, just 2 weeks or more, and it'll cool off. So I love talking about the weather. I know a lot of people think that if you bring it up that it's whining, and I feel sorry for people who restrict themselves so much by what they can think about and talk about. I'll think and talk about just about anything. The weather being one of them. And if I totally leave Washington State, it's all based, where I go is mostly based off of, okay, where can I have the most months of weather that's ideal, you know, highs in the 70s and lows above 0. Like if I could find a place that was like that all year round, I probably wouldn't go because then it would mean I'm near the coast. And I don't like the humidity or all the trees. I like the desert. But like there's parts of Arizona and New Mexico where you get like 8-9 months in that temperature zone. And then there's places in Colorado that are like highs in the 60s all summer. Like I check these, I follow the locations on my weather app. I've got like 15 locations around the world that I watch the weather. Another one would be Ireland. Go and live in Ireland for the summer. But like I say, there's options in Colorado. It's like southwest Colorado, probably other parts too, but southwest is really close to Arizona and New Mexico. So if I was in one of those places, I could go spend a lot of summertime in these places in Colorado, where there's also a lot of public land. So I check my Onyx app and look for public land around these areas that I know that I check the weather, and I think, well, man, I could go up there with a trailer and my animals, and we could hang out for a few months. And if I had Starlink, I could keep my videos going. So that's what I base if I relocate, that's what I base a lot of it off of. But it's also a good proximity to a lot of Old West stuff like Tombstone and Lincoln, New Mexico. It's closer to Texas if I ever go back to Texas. For a while I was thinking I might, if this movie stuff, because I was going to film my first short film in Texas, and I thought, well, if that goes well, then I'll be filming others there. But now I'm planning to film it up here, so I don't know if I'll ever have a reason to go back to Texas. But like I say, at the time, it's just a lot more exciting to be down in Arizona or New Mexico, where it's like you got Las Vegas, Tombstone, multiple places in New Mexico, Texas, all there within like a day's ride, even going up north into Denver, a lot more places. But the main thing about leaving this area, what we have in the Pacific Northwest, is a lot of fresh water and clean air. I mean, granted, you got to be careful around here to get the clean air. There's a lot of farming and pesticides, but whoops. Oh shoot. It's the water. Once when I mentioned this here on this video, Born 100 Years Too Late was on. And when I brought that up, he said, water, what's that? Because he's in New Mexico. And water really is an issue. That's what makes this area. If Washington is such a stupid liberal state, like they keep adding taxes onto our gas and wanting to get rid of gun laws. I don't have to even tell you, you know, the stupid stuff that these West Coast states are doing. If it wasn't for that, if things weren't overpriced here, then it's an amazing place. So that's why I'm going to move to my desert property and see if I can tolerate staying here. Like my mug. I love this mug. Had to switch. I liked my other mug, but I just like this one better. Oh yeah, Mike Scott. Hey, forgot to say howdy when you came on. He says, I lived in northern Arizona for a few years, and the White Mountains summers were consistently in the 80s. Nice. And never down near zero, but just a couple times. Nice. Yeah, northern Arizona is another part that I was looking at. Were you over west of Flagstaff or east of the res? Like, is Sholo? I forget if that's north. Place I'm looking at. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're on the west side, Oregon. I mean, east side Oregon is great. East side Washington is great as far as geography and weather. Yeah, okay, Sholo's amazing. I was looking in the St. John's area, which is south of Sholo, but still kind of over there near the border. But the problem is they've got a lot of regulations for building. Because if I relocate, the exciting thing is that if I find a county that doesn't have a lot of regulations, then I can build up my old west town finally. I bought this property with plans of building an old west town, but my county has a lot of restrictions. And when I wrote it up, drew up the plan of what it would cost and what it would take to have it, what they require like flushing bathrooms. You can't use outhouses because I wanted to set up like a saloon out here, and you have to sell food with alcohol in Washington. So that means I have to have a restaurant. And to do this, you have to have bathroom facilities. And then the building, I don't know what code they would make me build to. But then they also make you put in a certain type of road for fire danger. And like everything is controlled. Like they have the fire chief come out and tell you everything that you have to do. I'd probably have to have a lawn. Like I want to build an old west town, like authentic, like it was really in the old west. And they didn't have lawns back then. And so when I thought about it, I'm just like, no, then I got to have employees and all this. And I realized it's not going to be, I just want to build a saloon and just hang out in it. That's what I'm going to do. Even if nobody else is even there, I'll do live videos from it, do videos, but I would open it to people to come and visit. And, but here it would end up me being just running a business. And as we all know, the fun gets sucked out once you run a business. Like you like coffee, so you start a coffee shop. Well, you're no longer involved in coffee necessarily. You're involved in running a business. Good old capitalism and bureaucracy. coming together to benefit them and not the people running the business. As a result, we miss out on a lot of cool things. Like I travel to Arizona and Texas, tons of cool stuff that you can go and see that are like historical, and they keep things open. Like, you know, there's just things, but around here it's just so prohibited. Like, I don't think I could even build an Old West building because of all the code and the fire restriction. And, you know, they make it, you build it a certain way for fire code and all that. You have to have firewalls, 2 layers of sheetrock, or a heavy layer of sheetrock, whatever you buy, you know, to slow down the fire from spreading. I just want a shell of a building and not even insulated, and a big wood stove in the middle. Dirt floor, perhaps, to save money at the start. In fact, my idea was to build it the way that it would have been built in the Old West. Like, a lot of times it started out as a stagecoach stop, just minimal materials, dirt floor, and then if that became populated, like other people moved there, if it was in a good location, well, then you add a floor, and then you add finishes and other things, and that's how a town would oftentimes it would grow that way in those kind of stages. And that's how I'd like to build one. So that's the benefit if I relocate. If I sell out here, my properties are worth enough that I could relocate and get the start of an Old West town in some county where they don't have restrictions. There is a property in Nevada that I like, and I think from what I looked into so far, there wouldn't be any restrictions. The problem is it's like 2 hours north of Las Vegas, so it wouldn't be in that proximity I was talking about, where I could drive a day in any direction for a cool location. So anyway, that's the latest. I don't know what my life has in store. I just know that next spring I'm planning to shoot my Western film, and right now my mind is full of learning how to do that. I've been learning about coloring. So you shoot video, and then in the editing process you have to color it all. And so because of that, you have to decide what codec you're going to shoot in. And I think there's another variable. Oh yeah, which coloring, I forget what it's called, but like whether it's going to be ProRes. Wait, no, ProRes is a codec. I don't remember the names all right now, but like RGB or shoot, what's the other one? There's 2 that I'm. Anyway, you got to know what you're going to edit in to know what you're going to shoot in, and I'm trying to figure that out right now. And then you got to buy a certain monitor and way to set up the video so that you can actually color correct. And you actually need a dark room so there's no light coming in, so that you can get these 6,500, I think it's Kelvin. You get, the number was 6,500. You got to put a light behind your monitor for backlight so that your eyes are adjusted correctly for editing the color on your screen. It's amazing how involved it is. It's not like too complicated. It's just amazing how it all is. And then I think the other lights have to be at like 3,500. Anyway, fortunately, somebody on Reddit shared this playlist where this guy just lays it all out. It's amazing. So that's the kind of stuff I'm obsessed with right now. Also riding my horses every day. I'm hoping to use my horse in my movie, and I think I can. Because what's also cool, she's not perfectly trained. I think that adds some authenticity. I've been doing some practice clips, filming myself on her, and I'm thinking sometimes I got to kick her to make her go. And you won't see that in movies because the horses you see in movies are like really well trained. And it's amazing how, to me, how well behaved they are. and what they can do. But to me, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking, hey, that kind of adds some authenticity of me making this horse turn. Because back then, you know, most of those horses, they'd barely break them and then and start riding them in some cases. They started practicing packing with my other mare so that hopefully I can actually go on a trip. And they are taking me around. So like that video I did where I walked them, like I said, in retrospect, I probably could have ridden her. But I don't think I'll need to do that. I won't have a problem because they're riding me around here, and usually it's easier to get her to move when I'm off my property. So if she's doing it here, should be able to do it anywhere. So that's what's going on. Let's see, we've been at it for an hour, 50 minutes anyway. Found a good way to make t-shirts is on Amazon. Multiple colors. They're made fairly quickly, and the t-shirts are pretty good sizes. So if anyone wants one, I'll send it to you direct, or I'll just send you the link and you can make your own and order it off Amazon. Well, I'm happy. Full of coffee. Dogs are fed. Horses are fed. It's not too hot. Maybe I'll go ride them. I'm usually done riding them by now because it gets hot out. Maybe I'll go ride them. And another thing I'm doing is remodeling my cabin so that it'll be nice. I'm trying to decide whether or not to put windows in it. Because like I just said, for editing and watching movies, it's better without windows. But I've been wondering if maybe I would enjoy being in the cabin more if I had windows, like daylight. I really like being outside. That's the other downside of winter, is being cooped up inside all day. So, I don't know. That's just stuff I'm figuring out. And also figuring out whether to buy siding. So it'd be like $1,200. Wait. No, maybe it's about $700 to do this nice pine siding, tongue and groove, with 5-inch face, and it's tongue and groove. Looks really nice. So if I did the walls in that, I think it'd be $750. Or if I just did CDX walls, it still looks like wood, and it'd be like $80. So that's the kind of stuff I'm dealing with these days. So that's it. That's what's going on. Buying some Western clothes, like I said. So I should have a pretty cool outfit soon. Just got this coat and trousers, but I got to have the trousers fitted. Unfortunately, they're a little too tight on me. And I got some boots coming, some nice boots. So I should have a sweet outfit pretty soon. And then, like I said, then I got to get up and do a video, do a camping video. So, all right, folks, this has been fun. Glad y'all were here. We're up to a little bit of higher number this time. All right, I hope y'all have a good weekend. And remember, life's a lot more fun over on the wild side.